Hello, and welcome to HR Training for Managers that we set up for you. Today, we're going to go through a few laws that you managers should obtain a working knowledge of. Knowing these laws will help you in your role at Inditech Industries. Please let me introduce myself since I'm presenting the training for you today. My name is Eric Weinke, and I am the VP of the HR department here at Inditech. I'm kind of a big deal here because I really know my stuff. As you can see my contact information on the slide here. Please feel free to contact me if you ever need any clarification or help in any way. That's why I'm here. Let's go over some reasons for the need to take this training. As managers, Initech needs you to observe and act accordingly to these laws. I have them broken down for 6 reasons. Protect the employees, because they have needs and rights. Protect the company, so we don't violate policy. So we can provide a safe workplace for the employees so they can be a safe and fair place to work and grow. Provide a safe workplace. See, produce strong directives. I want you to be confident in your knowledge. I want you to make strong directives. So I want you to be even more confident in knowing what you know and make the decisions from there. And then basically is to proceed strongly with the ability to handle any situation. And then mostly is procure a working knowledge. I want you to acclimate to these policies so you can structure the workplace accordingly. See, your role as a manager, it demands that you advocate for the people that work for you while you provide guidance under the company's policies. It's not an easy job, but we know you can do it, and that's why we're here to help with this. Here we go with a list of concerns. And some of these questions you may already have. So we'll start working on these. And again, if you have any more, we could always follow up later on. And feel free to write those questions on your presentation packet today. The first one is, do I need to know this? The answer is no for the actual terms, but I want you to get a working knowledge of it. Just keep in mind the reasons for these laws. Uh, who do I go if you have a question? Basically, any form of your leadership or HR. So where can I get this information on regulations? There's the Department of Labor, the state regulations, the EEOC, everywhere there on the internet you can have it. And then where do I obtain this information? Internet, like Google searches are always great. There's brochures, you can make phone calls, and again, you can always ask me or other leadership. Okay, so right now we're going to start with the outline for the laws and basically the reasons behind their creation. So we're going to start out with the heaviest one that talks about discrimination and harassment. There's a lot to this one. And then next we go to leave laws that most likely few people are going to be covered under. And then we're going to talk about compensation, which is one of the basic number one concern for most of our employees. Safety is going to be a super important one. And then lastly, we're going to touch on a few other considerations. So let's really get into it now. So, discrimination and harassment. These laws are to fight against people getting treated differently based on individual characteristics. Here is a list and a short reason for each law. Uh, we start with the Civil Rights Acts that stops discrimination basically against any type of individual characteristic, race, religion, sex, color, orientation. The next, we start with any age discrimination in employment. For anybody over 40, this covers. So obviously there's going to be a higher amount of employees who are working in the workforce past this age. Next is the Immigration Reform and Control Act. So this covers immigrant statuses and so forth. There's Genetic Info Non-Disclosure Act of 2000. Basically, it's personal medical information aren't supposed to be released to anybody other than basically it's a need to know basis. And then there's Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 is we got to handle any special accommodations so any of these people can continue working and thrive in our working environment. And the last one there is the National Labor Relations Act. Basically, it's talk to improvement of the work conditions. So we can't basically retaliate for people trying to talk about better work conditions. They can meet together if they want to try and unionize, so forth, but we can't harass anybody for doing those. Okay, next are the leave laws. Is basically this protects employees from being penalized, for leaving for work if they have certain conditions. Basically, most of the stuff's going to have to be pre-approved. The main one here is going to be the Family Medical Leave Act. So these are most of our employees are going to fall under the non-exempt families who handle this, who may have to use this. Sometimes they'll use this as a big group, one big group lump leave, like, if they're having a child or going to give birth or adoption. The other one, most likely, they're going to use it as every 2 weeks they have to take a family member to an appointment. So, but they will be pre-approved or so forth to figure out. The next one is the Uniformed Service Employment and Reemployment Acts of the 1994 is basically veterans and reservists. They won't get penalized when they have to do any type of terms of service for our armed forces, which we always appreciate. Compensation laws. Basically, two sections is for our concerns. First off, exempt and non-exempt. Non-exempt employees are paid hourly. Most of our employees will fall under this as well. And so exempt employees don't have to follow the same guidelines and so forth, but we can talk about that at a later time. So the second part of the criteria is the non-exempt employees have to make at least the minimum wage that fit the national standard. And when they're working overtime, they're getting the overtime rate of payment. So the great thing about this is basically you won't have to decide who's exempt or non-exempt. HR is going to have that completed upon hire. So you don't have to worry about that at all. Next, we're going to talk about safety. I'm sure most of y'all have heard about OSHA, the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Basically, OSHA looks at four things for our work. Safety workplace. Employees need to work in a place that doesn't hurt them. Basically, ensures that Initech provides a proper training for everyone. They want us to provide equipment that they would need for anything, and basically would handle workers' compensation claims for anybody who's injured during the work. Okay, there are a few variables that may affect these policies. So first, we might start with the state and local laws. Um, some states would have different standards than the federal laws. A lot of times it may be harsher or more strict. As a suggestion, I would just follow the more strict rules because you can't ever go wrong following a stricter rule, basically. And the second one basically would be any type of updates or any changes to the standard. You're going to see that reflect in our policy. So obviously we'll let you managers know if something is changing, what we need to do, so forth. You'll be knowing how to apply for that. So it'd be great. And then the last one to think about would be any type of personal bias. For everyone, everyone has a personal bias. So it's just a matter of trying to see what is yours and just make sure that you are aware of it so that doesn't come into play here at work so it does not affect negatively. After this training, this is what Initech is expecting of you. Uphold these policies. Gather information before making decisions with the employees. If you have any questions, please ask. Information can be given relatively quickly. Lastly, if you see something, say something. Nothing's worse than not reacting to when something is needed. And remember, these are in place to protect the employees, you guys, and the company. We all have to be on the same page. The end. We did it, people. And again, if you have any questions, then please reach out. It's better to know than to guess wrong. Here are two sites that it's a great reference whenever you need it. Thank you again for your participation. Have a good day.